And I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
Hey, I love your show.
Find the Ask Gregory
About 3 minutes.
app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Hello, Gumbo Nation. This is Dwayne Stein with Mortgage Gumbo, and I want to thank you. For almost 8 years, you've been listening to me weekly on Mortgage Gumbo, providing you with free education and options advice when it comes to home lending. And while these times may be unique, we've got this. For more than 30 years, I've been mortgage lending in your market, getting clients just like you the best loan at the best rate for the cheapest cost you qualify for. Let's chat. Visit mortgagegumbo.com.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there, on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Half of estate planning is having a plan put together for your loved ones when you pass away. The other half of estate planning is dealing with someone else's plan when they pass away. Sometimes they have a great plan, but sometimes you need a little help. Don't leave your loved ones in a bind. Call me, and we'll make sure you have a plan. Hi, I'm Wes Blanchard, an estate planning attorney in Metairie. What's your plan? Find me at wjblanchardraw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
If you do not have money set aside, you do not have retirement assets, you don't have significant savings, you're thinking, well, when should I turn on Social Security? I'll answer that for you right now. You should probably work as long as you possibly can and as much as you can, because that means you defer Social Security as long as you can up to age 70. And you can keep working past that. That's fine. But at age 70, you have to turn it on because you've maximized it there. And you've created the largest possible payment, and you're going to need all of that.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Hey, y'all. Yeah, we're starting the show one segment late. It's because we want to put on a good show. We had some mic static, so we thought we had fixed that. So, hey, welcome to Winning at Life. This is a live show. Prove it to you. The House went Republican. 218 seats were confirmed, so that kind of helps you date the show. We're November 19th, about 18 minutes after the hour. And another crypto exchange blew up last week. We're going to talk about that today. I'm going to talk about ESG a little bit today. We're going to talk about the Gregory Ricks and Associates process. I've got some thoughts on Social Security as well. Maybe you don't realize the importance of that, but it's a pretty big deal. It's a big part of your retirement income. For some people, it's everything. And then another topic is HSAs. They're kind of like one of my favorite savings. Everybody doesn't have access to it, but if you do, it's a pretty neat tool, because you know what? One of the things that and that's health savings accounts. One of the things that way I look at that, or here's the preferential tax treatment I prefer. I want to save money pre-tax. I want to grow it tax deferred, and I want to take it out tax free. You know, and you heard that part. We're putting it away pre-tax, growing it tax deferred, and taking it out without paying taxes. I've got Jude Heath here in studio with me, CPA, and one of the founders of J. Heath and Company CPAs. Besides HSAs being able to do that, is there anything else? I can't think of anything else. You know, sometimes there's a tax write-off strategy that can kind of maybe make that happen for you on shifting money, but to grow an account, all I know, Roth doesn't do that because you're putting it in after tax. You're growing it tax deferred, taking it out tax free, but putting money in pre-tax. So we're going to talk about that today as well as many other topics. And I've got some surveys from some of the events that we did this fall and share some concerns and questions with you. And the other important thing about the Winning at Life show that we've been doing for over 12 years is, you, the caller. I want to hear your concerns. What do you think's going on? What is worrying you? You know, is it inflation? Is it the market? Is it where things are headed? Is it gas prices? You know, and back to inflation, is your retirement plan going to support you? I've got another question. Something we talked about in training yesterday in our office is helping people understand how income is generated. We might talk about that. Do you have a concern or question? How do I generate income from these assets that I built up? How do I look at that there? So once again, if you want to join the conversation, 504-260-0995. You can email me, info@gregoryricks.com. Better yet, utilize the Winning at Life app. Come on, let's get some downloads here today during the show. Become a part of the Winning at Life Nation. You can connect to us over on Facebook Live. You could go check us out. My personal page, it's my name, Gregory Ricks. The Winning at Life Facebook page. Also, we got the Gregory Ricks and Associates Facebook page. So there's a few of them. But and I send a link over to my personal page sharing the stream of the show, and it's also on the Winning at Life page. You can watch the show. I'm right here on camera. Put it up on the big screen, you know, that 75-inch or 65 or 24 that you're sitting in front of. Whatever it may be, watch show. But if you're driving down the road in some smart vehicle, do not watch and drive. Just listen, okay? Safer that way. Driving is so hazardous and crazy nowadays anyhow, but we appreciate you listening and watching the show. Hey, everybody that's joined us this hour. And we're here till 1 o'clock with you today, so a lot of conversation to have. Jude, welcome to Winning at Life.
Thank you.
It's been a hot few weeks since you've been on the show. You doing well?
Doing great.
Awesome. How's the firm?
Everything's going great. We had a great year and have a great end of the year planned.
Well, you know, one thing that's certain is we're going to always have taxes. You know, they say two things that are certain, death and taxes, huh?
That's correct.
Well, we want to put off the death part as long as possible. Live long, prosperous, happy lives. But we got to pay taxes. So what is on your radar? Now, as far as last year's is done, right? You know, the personal, the business. I know I've got all mine in, and it went really well. You know, sometimes I've had to pay a little. Sometimes I get a little back. And I don't know what it is this time, but I didn't write a check a few months ago. So maybe I get a little back. But one of the things I learned from you, and I like this idea, I always kind of like having a surplus now. You know, we do the monthly, something else you taught is don't mail them money. Go and do it through the portal. And we do it from a business standpoint, we do basically look at the books every month where profit loss. If it's profitable, then what taxes are going to be due from that month. And we pay it every month. I personally don't like the quarterly deal. You know why? It's not our money. Get used to it sitting on the balance sheet. That's kind of like, oh, good, we got extra money. Actually, we don't. Some of that's Uncle Sam's money. So I like that methodology, and I like having a plus, because ultimately, when you do the tax returns, it probably doesn't. There's probably some adjustments to look back and all, and it's just kind of always favorable from what you said. Just it's better to have some extra there, and especially where this opportunity for I-bonds, if you got extra up to $5,000, you can toss that over into I-bonds, which have been paying pretty darn good lately. So I know I just keep talking, but I want to hear something from you. What are some of the things that are top of mind right now for you?
So end of year tax planning, we immediately after October the 15th, we shift into end of year tax planning for all of our clients. We just go down the list. We start preparing tax estimates for those that we've historically planned tax estimates for. Everybody wants to know the same thing, Gregory. What's mine? What do I get to keep? What do I have to send to the government? It's just a part of business. It's really a part of life, planning for taxes that, as you say, of course, are inevitable. And then the process comes of, what can we do to reduce? What can we do to make changes? What changes are happening from 22 to 23? And as you know, we're in business together. We talk about taxes all the time. One of the things we were just talking about over coffee this morning was the student tuition organizations. They're all starting to mail out their stuff. That's where you can pay your state taxes to a student tuition organization instead of the state. And so a lot of our clients take advantage of that as well. But there's always opportunities. It's an education of our clients. What's available in your particular situation? What do you want to employ? How do you want to plan your taxes?
When you brought up the student loan there, so that changed lately where, past few months, Biden's administration had talked about being able to get back $10,000 or get $10,000 written off. That's kind of came to a halt for the time being there. Basically, and this was always the question is, I thought it took Congress to dictate what's done with money that's owed to the government. So that seems to have come to a halt. I wonder if some people ran out and borrowed some money, said, oh, yeah. I'd be careful with that. Your thoughts on what's going on with that?
So we have always been about, and I know you and I are of one mind on this, is for students that are actively going through school, keep your cost at a minimum. Get out, get your degree, get out with your degree for as cheap as possible. Don't go live, away from home. If you can stay at home, keep your costs low. Don't borrow extra. If you have to borrow, keep it manageable.
It really is. It is a different world as far as going to school, and just the rules have opened up back, it's a long time ago when I went to college, and it's just different today. I never had the concept of borrowing money or explored into that. And I can even go back when I brought it up to Mom, and you want to hear her response? I said, I'm not filling out that paperwork. I'm not signing off on it. So yeah, it was on me. And then part of what helped me was to go into the military. I went into the military as part of the U.S. Army, and that helped me with school. I had a friend of mine say, well, how is it you don't have to work as much as I do? I said, well, the Army's helped paying for it. Well, guess what he did? He signed up too and helped him through college. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We're going to take a couple-minute break here. Give us a call.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I'm your host, Gregory Ricks, a financial advisor here to answer your questions and help you win with your money.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Simple information from good people.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Could this be your Social Security, your 401k, pension, lump sum, your debt, student debt, credit cards?
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years. Sometimes I'll pull over to the side of the road and just listen.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
If you're unprepared for current market volatility and concerned about how it could impact you, take action now. I'm Gregory Ricks. Let us help you devise a strategy to navigate this market. Make sure you're still on track to reach your financial goals. Schedule a visit at GregoryRicks.com. We are Gregory Ricks & Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
The firm provides insurance services, investment, and advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management, LLC, and Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
We are living in historic times, extraordinary times. A lot of people need help right now, and I want you to remember your local food bank. Now, here in New Orleans, it's Second Harvest Food Bank. Over in Mobile, they've got Feeding the Gulf. But you can find your local food bank, feedingamerica.org. Food donations, monetary donations, or I know you've got some free time. Find your local food bank. Support your local food bank, especially in times like this. Do some good. Feedingamerica.org.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. A blanket of heavy, wet snow several feet deep has brought Buffalo, New York to a standstill.
Erie County got hit with another wave of snow overnight, at times coming down at about 3 inches an hour. So more snow in a little amount of time once again, and some people are digging out. We also know there are dozens of abandoned cars on the roads and some impassable roads. Officials say these are some of the worst conditions their plow truck drivers have ever dealt with.
Fox Weather's Katie Byrne in West Seneca, New York. Breaking with the past, some prominent Republicans who may have their own eyes on a White House run in 2024 appear to be distancing themselves from former President Trump.
You know, Trump was saying that we'd be winning so much we'd get tired of winning. Well, I'm sick and tired of our party losing.
Maryland Governor Larry Hogan speaking before the Jewish Republican Coalition in Las Vegas. Mr. Trump announced his intentions to run again in 2 years. America is listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you have a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
May we all know that nothing ain't cool. The sound of a quarter rolling down the
Hey, y'all. Welcome back. Got the holiday season coming up. Thanksgiving next week. Got any big plans? What you going to talk about around the table? Taxes? Inflation? Hey, here's two things don't talk about. You know what they say? Politics and religion. Yeah. Might be careful on that, or make sure you're in good company there. It's just like, I was having a discussion with a client yesterday, and that kind of came up, and they were griping some things. And it was management styles of some firms, and then also ESG talk came up, and I just said, and just so all of you know, my thing is, I kind of like what Judge Learned Hand said, and I'm just going to loosely paraphrase this, but basically he said, you are under no obligation to pay any more than the law requires. And if we have a deduction or an expense and it's legit that we're not cheating, we're going to take it. And then about growing our wealth. Long as we can do that, mindful in what's appropriate, what's good for the investor, the saver, the client, what's in their best interest. I'm not looking at the best interest of any industry, any political organization. I'm looking in what's in the best interest for the client to grow their money. I'm not going to have this thought process that is it socially viable? Is this more environmental? Or is this more, does this fall into our religion? I'm about growing money. And at the end of the day, that's how we look at it. We don't take a bias. I don't believe my clients, our clients at the firm, hire us to do so. And that's part of like working with Jude Heath at J. Heath and Company, is the interest is how can we save taxes? And that's the direction we want to go. We don't want to cheat or steal. There's kind of two phrases, Jude, that I think about on that. And actually, it escapes me, but there's kind of two things. Tax avoidance is one of them. When the IRS looks at what you're doing, it's either tax. Oh, now I just remember tax avoidance or self-dealing. Isn't that kind of the two main things when they kind of view it? Now, there's a lot more to that, but just kind of on the surface, what are you doing? And you have to think about that. Are you doing it and you win at their detriment? You're doing some workaround, and you have to think about. What would you like to share on that?
So one of the first things that we talk with all of our clients about, and this marries into with your tax avoidance, is, part of having a work career, part of, we talk about, when you have children, you have to have life insurance, protect your life. When you work, you have to participate in a retirement plan. It's better to max out at a retirement plan, however many years of work you have. So from a tax avoidance standpoint, although that does not reduce your taxes, it's just deferring your taxes, those assets grow tax-free. But starting much younger and maxing out on your retirement plan at work and continuing to max out your retirement plan at work throughout your working years will make a much happier retirement, as I'm sure you know.
Absolutely. And you got to be mindful of that. One of the things, as you know, we do that's kind of part of our process, and we provide a tax efficiency report from a federal standpoint, and we've recently added on the state option to look at it from a state standpoint to look for efficiencies. And that's kind of even, for example, what are your Medicare premium thresholds? What are your Roth opportunities? One of the things I always like to look at it that I go to first, I look at the brackets. What is your margin there? That's kind of one of the biggest things, because that's also creates Roth opportunities without going to the next tax bracket. But I'm like, I don't want to waste a tax bracket. And it might not that you want to Roth it, but if you're going to be taking more in the future, say because of RMDs are going to keep creeping up, or like this word better, inching up, and you're going to have to take more income. And if it pushes you into another tax bracket in the future, why not take it now? Well, I don't need it, but you've got a lower tax bracket. Let's max out that tax bracket and shift that money elsewhere. You've got to be mindful of looking down the road. That's why we call our meetings annually strategy meetings, because we're forward looking. You know, it's kind of, if you're reviewing, well, heck, with technology, it isn't like you're coming into the office to figure out, oh, where am I at? I need to update on all my. You get that. We have a portal on our website. You can go and see your numbers most any time. That's a review on the past year. That's a few minutes. What we're going to spend time on is how can we win going forward? What are the adjustments? What are we making to the portfolio? What about tax strategies going forward? What are your margins? What's going to change for you? What's changing for you that we've got to adapt to? So from a tax standpoint, I do have 3 points here. That was kind of a Barron's article, 3 simple tax moves to do now that can save you money later. And the first one they bring up, Jude, is delay income to get a lower tax bracket. So that's the opposite side of taking up. But what if you're just over a tax bracket? Are you needing that? What are your thoughts on that?
Over the years, we've had clients delay income through, delaying billing or, on cash basis taxpayers, or if you've got the opportunity at work to delay a bonus until next year or something like that. But the other thing that we need to look at is the 2023 rates and what is your projected income for 2023. And so that's a little bit more of an analysis. One of the things I was thinking about, and you and I have talked about this, at length with those Roth opportunities, is we know that the RMD is coming and increasing, inching, as you say. And so many times I'm sure you've seen where just clients that as they get older, they were just required, the RMD gets to be huge. And so absolutely pay the taxes now on a Roth conversion and make your headache a little lighter in those future years. And so for us, and I know you share this, it's just the interactive planning. However you get in touch with us, it doesn't have to be a Zoom call. It doesn't have to be a drop-in. It can be a phone call. We want to know each other well enough that you feel comfortable. And for the clients that we share, we want it to be a 3-way. Hey, let's pick up the phone. Let's see when Gregory or whoever your advisor is on staff has a minute. We know you've got notes on the client. I've got notes on the client. Let's share what we talked about last. Did you put those in place? Has something changed? What do we need to change to help you plan better for not so much the next 5 years, for the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months? We want our clients to be planners, planning their retirement, planning their money moves. And I know you share that thinking.
One of the things the IRS recently announced a 7% inflation adjustment to 2023 income tax thresholds, so the biggest in several years. While the top 37% bracket kicks in for couples with income of more than $647,850 this year, next year couples will have to earn more than $693,750 to get pinched at that rate. 35% bracket begins on couples of income of more than $431,900 this year and goes to $462,500 next year. So with that inflation pushing that up is one reason to look at where you are on those thresholds, because actually you might dial it back a little bit, but you get to take more next year. So consider deferring income into next year, since more income will be taxed at a lower rate in 2023. So that's kind of a good thing and a reason you should be looking at this stuff ahead. And that's why we do a tax efficiency analysis every year for clients. And it's kind of required even if you're coming in for a fit visit with the firm. If you want more information about that, call my office at my day job, 504-832-9200, or go to GregoryRicks.com. You're listening to Winning at Life. We have Jude Heath here. We'll be right back.
If you have a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory.
I wanted to talk about teachers and those that aren't participating in Social Security when they were teachers, policemen, regardless of your age. If you're not paying into Social Security through your payroll, your Social Security benefits are going to be affected in the future. One of the key things to do is think about that now and how you're going to feel at 60, 65, or 70 when you find out that if your spouse dies, you might not get their benefits, that you're not participating in Social Security. So if it's not coming out of your check, Social Security benefits down the road are going to be greatly affected. You might want to investigate now how that's going to affect you.
Gregory Ricks and Associates, 504-832-9200 or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Oh, Rover, you have fleas again? Prevent fleas and ticks from setting up shop in your backyard. Those bloodsuckers can bite up to 400 times a day and carry nasty diseases like typhus and tapeworms. Give Rover some relief and contact Mosquito Joe. Their mosquito control services also kill and prevent fleas and ticks. Let Mosquito Joe be your first line of defense against those blood-sucking pests. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
My mother just inherited a couple of annuities.
If you could explain the difference between a government pension offset and the windfall elimination provision is.
You now make too much income to contribute to a Roth IRA.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
You all are so good.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
At the core, I always tell people, I'm not here to make you rich. I'm here to make sure you don't run out of money, that you don't run out of income. That's how I look at my job. Over time, saving, making good decisions can make you rich. But what you have is, what is your core thing? Your core thing should be making money. And your core thing, you should set aside money to work elsewhere. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to put it to risk. You could put it to safety. But your core thing makes you money, or you tell me your core thing is the market, day trading, or gambling in the market. It shouldn't be. You should have a core thing that makes you money, and you peel some off for the future when you're done with your core.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Welcome back. You're listening to Winning at Life. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you as a listener. Be an advocate of your friends and family and tell them, hey, there's a pretty good show on Saturdays with great information. And you can tell them where to find us on Facebook and such. My website, GregoryRicks.com, or tune in to this station on Saturdays from 10 to 1. We have that information. We do replay immediately afterwards as well. And one thing, we have the Ask Gregory podcast. We have and if you're on our mailing list, so to speak, we have the Wednesday Q&A. And we're actually reprising something I used to do a long time ago. Well, maybe not that long. We do a weekly e-newsletter, but we're going to reprise the hard copy that you receive in the mail. You know, it's kind of like where stuff goes away, but then it turns out it's a pretty good thing because most aren't doing that anymore. So I'm kind of actually really excited about that. I was talking with my team the other day, and they were looking back at versions we've done over the years. And I was like, yeah, actually, that's the format I created because I used to do the whole newsletter myself years and years ago and did it for you. Wrote the article format, put it all together and everything. And then, of course, handed those things off over time. So we've got Jude Heath here with us. If you have a question for him, still have a few minutes to do so. 504-26-00-995. We were talking, we're talking about taxes and trying to save some money and doing it the right way. So we're kind of talking about 3 topics here in a Barron's article, 3 simple tax moves to do now that can save you money later. The first was delaying income to get lower tax bracket, because the brackets are moving up next year because of inflation. Another, and this is a neat one here, Jude, maximize gifts to kids or other family members. So when asset values are low, you can transfer more in assets, like stocks or asset values that are down, and they're going to bounce back in time, but it means you could get more property over to them because values are down. So when asset values are low, you can transfer more assets to your beneficiaries without triggering gift or estate taxes by using up the annual gift tax exclusion and some or all of lifetime estate tax exemption. The annual gift tax allows individuals to give $16,000 per person this year. Next year, it's $17,000 in 2023 with no gift tax consequence. Couples can give a combined $32,000 to as many recipients as they choose. If you want to give more than that, you can use up your $12.06 million or $24.12 million per couple estate tax exemption. I know you've got some thoughts to add to that and maybe some warnings.
Of course. So I just had a conversation with a client this week about that very thing, and she's got small children. She wanted to, gift to small children. And I warned her that there's still a kiddie tax, and it was recently expanded. And so any investment income that a minor child experiences, they pay at the parent's rate. It's a family rate. And so, before you start, there's always 529s and things like that you want to do for college. But anything that's going to produce, investment income on Schedule B, which is interest and dividends, to a child's income tax return, the IRS is aware of that, and they have a kiddie tax that it hurts when you don't plan for it.
Okay, so that's once they're an adult over 18, you gift it to them, then they would be taxed at their rate on any income off those assets. And that's really what you're coming down to, is if you give them assets that are generating income of some sort, like dividends, capital gains, such as that.
Right. And so if you give, let's just say some stock that has dividends attached to it, and now instead of those dividends showing on your tax return, they're showing on the child's tax return. If they're taxable to you, they would be taxable to the child at your rate. And same goes with interest. And so my point was only in warning. She just wanted, to have a conversation, not really look at any numbers. And she pulled back off of that, and she said, okay, we'll just find something else to do. Now, to your point and the Barron's article about giving to adults, if you give shares of stock, if you donate or gift shares of stock within that federal limit, that annual federal limit that you talked about, one thing to keep in mind is the cost basis transfers to the person that's being donated to. So you might be transferring a capital gain to that person. So that's one thing to keep in mind. You don't get an updated basis. It's whatever your basis was on those shares now is that person's basis.
Okay, let's say it like this. You transfer $6,000 in stock value to them, but it has a cost basis of $3,000. And when it's sold, there's a taxable amount on the $3,000 above the cost basis. So we're not transferring cost basis, we're transferring value as the limit. So, well, can I transfer $6,000 in cost basis? Well, if that's the whole value, right?
Right. So the point is that I've seen it boomerang on the person getting the shares. Not that they're ungrateful, but that sometimes the tax bite they were not aware of.
Yeah, because Uncle Sam, and that's one of the things to understand about you're giving away assets, but you're not giving away the taxes. The taxes don't go away. Whatever taxes is due on that account or will be due is going to be paid by the owner of the assets, which is important, once again, to the kitty taxes. Then it's coming back at your tax bracket. So once again, to consider with asset values low and the exemption scheduled to be cut in half by 2026. That's under current law right now. There has rarely been a better time to transfer assets, says Justin Miller, National Director of Wealth Planning at Evercore. If you gift assets depressed in value, all the potential recovery and future appreciation could be free of gift, estate, and generation skipping transfer. So something to consider. And then their third topic is convert to a Roth IRA while taxes are down. Roth IRA conversions have rarely looked so good. Income taxes are owed on any amount rolled over from a traditional IRA to a Roth, so the best time to make the move is when investment values have dropped. And, we still are on a negative side of the stock market.
Right, and so we talk about that as a regular point of planning for people getting into their 40s and 50s. This is part of the thinking every year. Is this a good time? Should we consider making this making a transfer into Roth, paying the current taxes, but getting it out of that RMD situation, or starting to reduce the amount that the RMD is calculated from. And so that it's just part of our regular protocol, as I'm sure that this is just in our thinking. We want to impart this wisdom and have our clients take advantage of this, or at least consider it every year that goes by. Yeah.
Speaking of RMDs, sometimes this question comes up. Those cannot be converted to Roth. So if you're of RMD age, required minimum distributions, for those unaware, when you reach age 72, there is a minimum you have to start taking out of your qualified accounts. And those minimums can't be converted. So let's say your RMD is $6,000. Okay, that's got to come out the account. Then you can convert whatever you can absorb beyond that, but that RMD still has to come out in that case. But it's something you can work through over time. And I always kind of define it as, how do you eat an elephant? Like, wow, they're so big. That's one bite at a time. How do you convert your assets? Let's do it a bite at a time. This doesn't have to be some giant deal. Convert some every year. It doesn't have to be very painful. But then over time, that builds up, and then compounding over time. Look, we're all living longer than we think or maybe would like, as a whole. That doesn't mean for everybody, in the news, and I always see famous people say, well, they died at 70, 72, or 68. Well, we also know people that are living in their 90s, and science technology is going to push that further for us. So think about those IRAs being chipped away at and converted to Roths, kind of that one bite at a time. So, Jude, we're coming here at top hour. We got about 30 seconds left. How can people reach you to start having a conversation and build a relationship with your firm?
So the best way is just to start with a phone call. It's 504-832-1873. Our website is jheathcpa.com. You just like with Gregory's office, you start, give us a call, reach out. We'll start a conversation, start getting to know you, and start imparting some of this tax wisdom that can help you through the years.
Awesome. Thank you for being with us today. We look forward to having you on the show again. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We're going to be back in a few minutes.
From the Gregory Ricks and Associates Wealth Management Studios, WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeartRadio station.
The Big Dig is underway. I'm Pam Huso, Fox News. It's downright dangerous in western and northern New York, where in some spots 6 feet of snow is on the ground. It's been falling since Thursday.
Officials say these are some of the worst conditions their plow truck drivers have ever dealt with. And what makes this lake effect snow different, it feels wet and it's very heavy. 2 people died after shoveling their yards. And the snow has actually also caused a partial building collapse in Hamburg.
Fox Weather's Katie Byrne in West Seneca. Roadways are littered with abandoned vehicles and more snow could be on the way. Nearly a week after 4 murders at the University of Idaho, investigators continue to scour the crime scene. They have no suspects and no persons of interest. The victims were close friends.
According to a coroner, some or all were found stabbed to death in their beds and might have even been asleep when the attack happened. The bodies were found last Sunday. Police have not yet named a suspect or a motive. They believe 2 roommates who were in the house during the incident were not involved in the crime.
Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer. Shortly before the killings, police say one of the female victims called the same man 7 times on the phone. The appointment of a special counsel to investigate former President Trump is being met with outrage by many Republicans. One investigation has to do with the attack on the Capitol.
On January 4th, Donald Trump authorized 10,000 National Guard troops to be at the U.S. Capitol for January 6th. He authorized that. The Speaker of the House didn't beg him for that.
Congressman Byron Donalds on Fox and Friends Weekend. Mr. Trump has said he won't take part in the special counsel's probe. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, y'all. Welcome. You're listening to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. Whew. Crazy year, huh? Markets, politics, and then all the stresses of inflation and things costing more. A lot to take in. And the year's not even over yet. We got those elections behind us. Thank goodness that's behind us for the most part. And it's just interesting how close everything comes. And basically it's a split country. It's everything's close. Always. Sometimes I've worried, and this isn't recently. This has been like a decade or more. Is kind of that tipping point. Does it shift in a way that it always goes this way? Just kind of quite. But you know what? That's not just politics. That's about anything. That could be your investment strategy has a tipping point. That all of a sudden. Is this continuing a different way? From an investing standpoint, I'm about to get going. Newbies, I'm Gregory Ricks, your host. Regular listeners, thank you for joining the show. That's one of the values is I see people throughout the week. Was in a restaurant the other day, and a gentleman started speaking to my wife and I, and, he knew what he didn't say, but, he called me by name. So he obviously show listener, familiar with me, and I get that a lot. And I just love that there's an audience that tunes in, and I love the feedback from those stories that you share to others about listening to the show and what you learn and how you benefit from the show. And that's the number one thing is, can we contribute and help? So as far as the show, we've got other markets that have tuned in this hour, and we're going to continue to 1 o'clock today, sharing information with you, taking your calls. You can watch the show as well if you want to put it on your screen, whether it's I'm good, whether it's a 25-inch or 75-inch, throw me up on the wall, watch the show. We're over here on Facebook Live. We're also streaming on our YouTube channel, and there's a bunch of others that we're streaming on, but I'd say those are the two most prominent. Right there, whole different world from when we started the show over 12 years ago. There was like, I don't even know if we were audio streaming to begin with at that point, and that became a big deal. And, you know, you could just basically anywhere listen to the show because of audio streaming. But now it's like on a TV show every Saturday. So I have to dress a little better, throw on a jacket over my T-shirt today. Wear the hat less, and some of my team says, you know, we want to repurpose some of this. You got to look better. It's not just radio anymore. It's like you're on television every week. So I try to spiff up on my Saturday job here. It was easier to do when I was doing the weeknight show. That was easier to do because it was after a day at the office. I'm founder and CEO of Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority. We are financial advisors that help people those that desire a work optional lifestyle. And the neat thing I would say about what we do in helping people in my day job is we have a process called the guided planning system. And that's one thing important is it is a process that we follow. It's not by the seat of your pants. It isn't always changing on a whim. But we understand that investment markets change just like seasons of the year. It's not always the same. We don't worry about the wind. We worry about the set of the sail on our adjustments going forward. But that guided planning system is made up. You have investment management, income planning, healthcare planning, tax planning, estate planning. We're a sounding board for you as well. And I think, and one of the things that differs significantly, like how are you different? I'd say it differs because we're a relationship business. We think the relationship is the important part, that you're comfortable with having real ongoing discussions. You're not going to come into our office for a first visit and we're going to start talking about investments. You can come in the door and start asking about it. That's not where we're starting at. We got to get to know you. It's a fit visit, and everybody's not going to become a client because everybody's not a fit, even from our viewpoint or from your viewpoint. And that's a little bit of where we differ. That's what I do in my day job. There's offices in New Orleans area. It's the Metairie office. We're over on Vets Boulevard near Causeway in the New Orleans area. On the North Shore, we have an office, I believe it's on Lonesome Road in Mandeville. Great location there. And Baton Rouge, we have an office. And over in Gulfport, Mississippi, we have an office as well. But one of the neat things about technology and all today is we can do those video meetings. We can do things by phone. And the video meetings are secure meetings, so it's whatever works for you in the process. And you might start with a video meeting and then convert and come into the office and sit around a table. And the office environment is supposed to be comfortable and make you feel like you're at home, because it's like you're sitting around a breakfast table having a discussion is how our conference rooms are set up. And there's and it's not real hard, but, we only allow really for about 60 minutes. If the meeting needs to end earlier, that's fine. If it goes a few minutes longer, that's okay. But we kind of I think we're good with 60 minutes. If we're needing to talk more, we can set up another visit to continue the conversation. And one thing about it, if you're coming in to get to know us, you don't have to make a financial decision on that first visit. It's not expected. So if you want to find out more about that, my team's even answering the phone today, and you can leave a message with who's answering. They're going to connect you with the rest of the team next week. It's 504-832-9200. And when I circle back to that relationship, one thing I would coach you on, are we somebody you can see yourself working with for years? You shouldn't be bouncing around firm to firm and different philosophies. And because it's a process, it's like one firm, one voice is a way to define it. Whoever you talk to, the conversation's going to be consistent. We have multiple advisors, but we don't have advisors doing different processes or different management style or different philosophy. It's my philosophy is what we follow that's been vetted, tested for decades, and we are continually analyzing, but it is one firm, one voice. So go to GregoryRicks.com and find out more about that. So that's kind of what I do in my day job. As far as, invite other people to join this listening audience of the show so we can help people make better decisions. And ultimately, everybody doesn't need to talk to us. And, the other side of it, everybody doesn't have money saved. But one of the core things we want to do here is encourage savings. Well, how do I build a retirement savings? Same way, and I talked about this a little bit differently in the first hour this morning, it's the same way you would eat an elephant. Do you know how to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do I start building savings? Find out what amount can you comfortably save and leave. So you got to create an emergency account, because I don't want your longer term savings to be that emergency account. So till you get that, kind of rule of thumb is 6 months of expenses. Some cases you might want more. Some cases you can do less. One way I would look at that, and if you feel confident in your job and security there, maybe you don't need to have that much of expenses. But when it comes down to it, let's say somebody ran into your car. What's your deductible? If your AC quit, do you have the money to fix it? If you live in an area where you may have to evacuate for a storm, how much might you need to survive a couple weeks that way? So kind of think about things like that, and then there needs to be your emergency account. Then above that, what can you save a month? Is it $50? Is it $10? Is it $150? And then start doing that. I don't mean for you to all of a sudden go and invest it and put it to risk, but you might just want to start saving that up and then decide, do I put that into a IRA? Do I put it into a Roth? Or do I just want to invest it, meaning keep it in a non-qualified account, which means you're not going to put it in an IRA or a Roth. It'd be a non-qualified account, and you pay taxes as you go. IRA could potentially be tax deductible. It'll grow tax deferred and be taxable when you take that out after 59 and a half. If you put it in a Roth, it's going to be after-tax money, but it's going to grow tax deferred. And subject to a couple rules, the 5-year rule and age 59 and a half, you can take it out tax-free. A couple of ideas there on getting savings going and having it compound over time. One of the things we don't want to do is take excessive risk where it gets parted from us, and we'll talk about that when we come back from the break. Call us at 504-260-0995. I'm Gregory Ricks.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Would this be your Social Security, your 401k, pension, lump sum, your debt, student debt, credit cards?
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years. Sometimes I'll pull over to the side of the road and just listen.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
What's cooking, Gumbo Nation? This is Dwayne Stein, your local mortgage lender. Bread prices up. Milk is up. Inflation way up. I know this can all be overwhelming. That's why you need to know I got you. Tens of thousands have trusted me and my team with their largest investment, the home. So while things look cloudy, let's work to make sure when the dust settles, your family is ready to take advantage. Visit mortgagegumbo.com.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there, on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
2 questions. Do you have a pulse? Do you own anything? If you said yes to both, you probably need a will. You may even need a trust. We all know a lawyer. Do you know someone who specializes in estate planning? Do you really trust the husband of your sister's friend from college? Or would you feel better putting your family in the hands of the estate planning attorney of the Total Wealth Authority? I'm Wes Blanchard. What's your plan? Offices in Metairie and at wjblanchardlaw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
What we found through history, looking at the past 90 years, most fund managers don't outperform or perform as well as the indexes. Using indexing, historicals teach us skew a higher return. And yes, there's bad stocks in the S&P 500 as it looks right now, and yet the index is up. I like to use index ETFs because those are much lower expense ratios. We try our best in managing our portfolios to avoid trading costs, and we know I've been doing this for 30 years. I've studied trading strategies. You're not going to outsmart the indexes. You may get lucky, you may get unlucky.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Hey, y'all. How you liking this cool weather? Or you might call it cold weather. You know, on the break there, I stepped outside, had to grab me a bottle of water so I can stay hydrated during the show. And it's raining outside, so it's cold and raining on this 19th day of November 2022. I'll tell you, I am really looking forward to 2023. I think it's going to be a different year. I think it's going to be a better year. You know, overall, we've all had challenges this year. And yeah, next year there's going to be challenges as well. So are you getting better from those challenges? Learning from those challenges? Are you going to be a better person because of it? And that's kind of what my lifelong goal, you've heard me tell you this, is, when I got out of high school, I started reading self-help and self-improvement and how to be better. And then over time took to not just that, but increasing knowledge. And there's a book I'll share with you in a little bit that I think might be good from that. But if you kind of, simply put, if you spend time every day, and it doesn't have to be a lot of time, but do so every day from a standpoint of learning, you probably can be one of the foremost authorities in the field that you're choosing to read and learn from. And I'll tell you a book, and it came out a number of years ago, but it was a powerful, it reinforced that mindset for me that I'd been doing for a long time. And Darren Hardy wrote The Compound Effect. And kind of the subline of The Compound Effect is jumpstart your income, your life, your success, The Compound Effect. So that might be a good book to help you move forward in life. And you know what? And the reality is most of you won't do that. And most people don't read. It's most of the books are sold by the smaller percentage of society that does a lot of reading. And I buy books. I've not read them all, but I have an arsenal of future reading. And there's a book on my shelf that one of my coaches, and I have a couple of coaches that I work with to help me in life, help me in business to be better. And one of the books was Traction. And I was like, we were talking about something I'm wanting to implement in the business. And he suggested, he said, look, this resource here I'm telling you about is in Traction. But by the way, there's some other things. And I've got the book on my shelf. I just haven't gotten to it yet. So that's going to get moved up to the top of my list. So kind of, once again, excited about that. But going into next year, I'm excited because it's going to be a better year. It's not going to be without challenges. There's always challenges. But can we position ourselves to do better? Have you started thinking about goal setting for next year, what you would accomplish? Maybe it might be, and you might say, well, heck, I think I want to read The Compound Effect and read Traction. Yeah, okay, read both. Set that as a goal and work on it. Or if it's something in your field of work that you want to get better at, find some books, start reading it. Maybe that's a goal. Might be an income goal. It might be a Roth conversion goal. For a lot of you, it might be, my goal is to create a $5,000 emergency savings account next year. I think that is a great goal. Or if you've got that, how much could you start towards investing? If you're not taking advantage of your 401k, especially if they're matching you, that's like free money. If they match you, if you put in 5%, they'll match it 100%. Hypothetically, each firm's 401k is different. But that's free money. It's kind of like, God, you have to. Well, I can't afford it. Well, you need to find a way. You might need to cut out a couple streaming accounts or something. But save, if they're matching 100% of 5% or 4% or 6%, whatever it is, you need to get that contribution going. Well, I don't know what to choose. Well, look, for everybody, you've got 401ks. We have a program over at Gregory Ricks and Associates to help you with your 401k and those decisions, and a quarterly touch base on that. And if there's something where we're seeing things need to change, we can help you with that. So just call my office and ask about the 401k Maximizer program. We can give you some help on that and direction, or work together on that, helping you in the long term, because you've got to take advantage of that. Here's a phrase I like. If it's free, it's for me. So that matching part, that's free money, and you need to capture it. Don't just let it go away, because if you didn't do it last year and you missed, you're not getting it back. You got to do it every year, every month, every payroll period there. And then over time, keep incrementally increasing how much you put in, because you can put away a pretty darn good bit of money in that. So when you get a raise, and you will, then put more into the 401k. You don't have to give up all of your raise into it, but if you don't need that raise for standard of living, your consumables, well, maybe that raise goes into your 401k. So on goal setting and such like that, is start, some people look at, the thing you kind of, let's say, I'm going to give up smoking, or I'm give up eating ice cream. I'm going to work out. We do so many things that we don't start doing. But here's one other thing. If you do it for 3 months, just to make this simple to understand, if you do it for 3 months, you're probably going to keep doing it there. And that's kind of the challenge. What takes another book for you, The One Thing. A lot of great principles in there, but an area of it talks about creating a habit. And if you've got a bad habit, like, I spend too much time looking at social media, you want to break the habit? Don't do it for 66 days. If there's a particular site you say, I just spend too much time there. Okay, we'll do something else, but quit doing that for 2 months, and all of a sudden you're going to, in a few days, but all of a sudden you're going to figure out, wow, I could live without that. If it's eating something or drinking something, stop for 66 days. You've broken the habit. But from the other side of doing good things that we want to do, like read a chapter in one of your books every day. Do it for 66 days. Now you've formed a great habit. If it's saving money, can I save a few dollars a day? Stick away a few dollars every day consistently. And then it's kind of like, oh my gosh, I can do that. Well, if you could save $1,000 this year, and let's talk about 2020. If you can save $1,000 and you do so, you created a habit, then what should you do the next year? Save $2,000. Because if you can save $1,000, why can't you save more? Then you're actually, and putting it to work, then you are creating a compound effect. And the magic to compounding is time. It's not how much you put in, but it's how long can you keep that money working. And I'll share this with you before we go on this break here. It's just like the compounding of Roth money. And I always kind of take advantage of Roth conversions. And I'm like, let's say you're in your 50s, and let's call it, say, age 57. And you say, well, I want to get $100,000 into a Roth. Well, how about converting $33,000 this year? Pay taxes on. Then do it again next year. And the year after, and that third year, we're going to do $34,000. Why? That's $100,000. And let's say that's all you do. And let's say you average a 7.2%, which means your money doubles in 10 years. So 100,000 goes to 200,000 by age 70. And 200,000 by age 80 goes to 400,000. By 90, it's 800,000. How much taxes was paid on what? The first 100,000. You just grew 700,000 in money that's never going to be taxed, that you can leave behind. That's the compound effect that creates unbelievable money to leave behind. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We're going to be back in a couple minutes to give you more great tips.
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
I have a broker. He has no idea what you and I just talked about.
From your 401k to your IRA to your pension to your Social Security to your Medicare.
Hi, Greg. Appreciate your service to the community.
From your ETFs to your precious metals.
The program helps to ground me. There's some personal, real life there.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeart Radio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and wherever else you can find podcasts, probably.
That's exactly what I needed to know.
Hey, I love your show.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
Hi, I'm Gregory Ricks. Today we see rising costs at the grocery store and the gas pump. Have you prepared for rising inflation and higher taxes in your financial plan? Get our guide, Inflation and Your Retirement. Go to GregoryRicks.com/inflation to get our guide today. We are Gregory Ricks & Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
Our firm provides insurance services, investment, and advisory services. Offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management, LLC. And Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live. And if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Cancer Crusaders has been raising funds for cancer research in New Orleans since 1976. Cancer Crusaders, Inc. is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization with no administrative overhead. Cancer Crusaders has raised over $4 million so far, and all of that money goes to the Louisiana State University Health Sciences Center Foundation and the Tulane Cancer Center in New Orleans, where they are literally working on a cure for cancer. Get involved, donate, volunteer, or attend a fundraiser. CancerCrusadersLA.com.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. Attorney General Merrick Garland has announced the appointment of a special counsel to investigate alleged misdeeds by former President Trump, including the January 6th Capitol riot of 2021. This Florida lawmaker coming to Mr. Trump's defense.
On January 4th, Donald Trump authorized 10,000 National Guard troops to be at the U.S. Capitol for January 6th. He authorized that. The Speaker of the House didn't beg him for that.
GOP Congressman Byron Donalds on Fox and Friends. A pledge of continued support from the new Prime Minister of Great Britain for Ukraine in its ongoing war with Russia.
This year alone, we have provided £2.3 billion of military support. And we will do the same again next year.
Prime Minister Rishi Sunak in Kyiv, where he met with President Zelensky. America is listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you have a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Stuff, iced up in the back seat, nowhere to go, nowhere to be. I got my shades on, top back, rolling with the music.
This is Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. We've been doing this show for over 12 years. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to be here till 1 o'clock, so we've got the remainder of this hour and then another hour of live financial news talk radio. And if you want to join the conversation, we appreciate your input. What's your concerns? What's your worries? Something you need help with. 504-2600-995. I like the idea that I talked about here earlier is goal setting, but don't do it that same way you've always done. And don't do it in something like, I'm not worried about the exercise thing. I know I'm not going to do it. Sometimes it's because my right knee hurts or I've just got other things I've got to do, but I do put in some time each week. We could always do more. One of the things regarding weight loss that I've done and that I see some impact, there's this chef on the cooking channel, Food Network, and she's a small woman and just cooks this unbelievable food, and she never gains weight. Hasn't over the decades I've followed her. And sometime back, she kind of talked about it like, people are like, how is it you stay thin, yet you cook all this food and stuff? She said, here's one of her response, and I loved it. She said, it's not the pasta that's fattening, it's how much of the pasta you eat. I'm like, wow, that is so true. So you know what I do? I eat less pasta. I eat less of whatever. I found it, I don't need to eat as much, and actually I feel better. So it's not necessarily about how much you're working out, but it's also about your consumption. So if you do things and want to break a habit, well, reduce it or stop doing it for a period of time. And that magic number, for all of you to know, 66 days to start a good habit, or how about breaking one? I think it's really important. And let's set some savings goals for next year. Start thinking about that. Don't wait till January 1. Start setting those plans. As far as what we do in our business and goals that we have, we are already making plans and goals and then thinking about it. And there's some things, objectives that we next year, and I'll define that in a way is what are our business goals and objectives and staffing goals and so forth. And I got to looking at that, and we made some plans, and I slept on it a few days, so to speak. And I'm like, that's too high. I think we should look at this instead. And as a company and a business, and the other part of that is, with the changes consideration, I don't want to stress the company, but yeah, of course we want to grow. We want to help more people. We want to be more of service, but not in a stressful way, but also something that's realistically obtainable and create rewards. So if you're doing something and setting a goal, if you do that, create a reward for doing so. And if you don't reach it, don't have the reward. Treat yourself or treat your family or treat your employees, treat your business. Create a reward for reaching that. So I did readjust goals and how we look at things. And I also, in a way, I added another twist to it. I want to see who we are next year and have that define us going forward. And it is a bit of different thinking that I've done in the past, which has been more goal-oriented, more growth-oriented. But I also want it to be reasonable, that it's enjoyable, not stressful, but also it kind of like, this is who we are. It's kind of like if you're trying to say, work out this much. Maybe that is not you. Maybe that's too much. Maybe it should be more reasonable. It also needs to be fun and enjoyable. And your goal might not be who you are, and one aspect is to find out who you are. Okay, let's move on. Stocks edged higher to end a choppy week. I've got a Wall Street article here. I'm going to give you some points from and some thoughts, but stocks rose on Friday, capping kind of a crazy week with investors assessing the outlook for interest rates. And, interest rates are really what's impacting things. The S&P 500 gained 18.78 points or 0.5% to close at 3965.34, while the NASDAQ composite edged up 1.10 points or less than 0.1%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average ticked up 199.37 points, closed at 33,745.69. All of the indices are down 2 of the past 3 weeks. Of the 11 sectors within the S&P 500, 9 rose on Friday. Stocks in energy and communication services were the only laggards. A slowdown in inflation sent stocks ripping higher the last week, and the dollar and bond yields into retreat. The S&P last week wrapped up its best stretch since the summer, but in recent days, hopes that Federal Reserve will back off its campaign of aggressive interest rate increases have faded somewhat. I think we're getting another half point, 2 quarters increase. We had a 6% rally in the S&P 500 last week. We don't think the Fed wants to see a return of animal spirits, said Derek Amy, co-chief investment officer at Strategic Point Investment Advisors in Rhode Island. Mr. Amy said he is hiding out from the volatility by holding industrials and healthcare stocks along with bonds. So it seems, one point about his statement is he's kind of holding the course. But I do believe the Fed's going to increase interest rates again. Central bank officials, including St. Louis Fed President James Bullard, made the case this week to keep raising rates to curb decades-high inflation. Mr. Bullard said Thursday that the Fed's policy rate could rise higher than traders in interest rate futures are expecting. Strong labor market and retail sales data, meanwhile, suggest the economy has a way to go before higher borrowing costs cause the kind of downturn that could prompt the Fed to reverse its course. The Fed's just not seeing the slowdown that they're expecting from the rate increases there. So there's going to be a ways to go. The yield on the 10-year Treasury note rose to 3.817% from 3.774 on Thursday. Once the Fed begins to see cracks in the employment data and inflation, January and February will head for a pause, said Peter Cardillo, chief market economist at Spartan Capital Securities in New York. So something to keep in mind. I'll share it this way. We've got some more pain to come because of that. But then when things are slowing and you're seeing reports of layoffs, like Facebook, 11,000 layoffs were forecasted, and it's going, we're seeing it across other industries. So you see it in social media. That's easy. If you follow some of what's going on with Elon Musk, they're shedding people over there at Twitter as well. And the companies aren't able to go out there and borrow cheap money as well. Also, Brent crude, the global oil benchmark, fell 2.4% to $87.62 a barrel, down for 2 consecutive weeks. Oil prices have been hurt by demand getting dragged down further in China, the world's biggest consumer of commodities, because of a surge in COVID-19 cases. So once again, COVID's still a problem, and which leads us to turbulence in the crypto industry caused by the downfall of exchange FTX. Hasn't seeped into broader financial markets. On Friday, cryptocurrencies were relatively stable. Well, it's been a bloodbath this year for cryptocurrencies. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about cryptos, and risk when we come back from the break. And if those of you that's been listeners for the past 12 years, you know I have not been a fan of cryptos, and I can tell you what you've seen in that area this year explains why I have not.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory.
I started my retirement about 5 years ago, and I truly am late in life.
Would I be better to just withdraw the money out of my TSP and pay that mortgage off?
My problem is I have champagne tasting of your salary. What is a balloon note?
Is that cutting it too close?
So will I still be eligible for Medicare?
Is there anything better I can do with the money I transferred into the Roth from my 401k? My goal is to retire at age 60. I'm 54 right now.
Hey, I have a 9-year-old son, and he's got probably $2,500 in. Is there anything we can invest it in?
And I just started a 401k a little late in life.
The match should be like 10%.
Now, how far in advance do you recommend that someone goes to visit the Social Security office?
I want some money in a casino playing poker.
Gregory Ricks and Associates, 504-832-9200 or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Mom, it stinks.
Hush, I'm almost done. All right, now you're safe from bugs in the backyard. Don't let mosquitoes ruin your outdoor fun. Call Mosquito Joe today. When you call, they come out and they do the spraying. Mosquito Joe's time-release capsule lasts for about a month. No more sticky bug sprays. Take back your backyard. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I'm your host, Gregory Ricks, a financial advisor here to answer your questions and help you win with your money.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Simple information from good people.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
Can you raise your payout on your Social Security after full retirement by continuing working and paying in more? Do you get a raise for that?
Remember, the core thing is Social Security benefits you receive are based on your best 35 years. If you have less than 35 years, those are filled in with zeros. So if you're making more money this year that replaces, say, that first year of the 35, it is inflation adjusted. That will improve your benefit. And they reset that, they recalculate that every year. So even while you're drawing benefits, you could well be incrementally improving your benefits.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
I believe in working hard for what you've got.
You're listening to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. If you'd like to join the conversation, we've got a few minutes left in this hour, and then the next hour, I'm going to give you some more financial tips and probably take some questions from some of our surveys we've had this fall as well. And probably going to talk a little bit about Social Security in the next hour as well. I've also got HSA, health savings accounts, 10 misconceptions. Those are really tied to high deductible health plans. And I think a lot more people have those because of the cost of health insurance. So we're going to talk about that in the next hour. Thing I want to touch on here, and I might continue it in the next hour. I don't know if we can talk about this enough, meaning keep mentioning it and bring it to people's attention. And that's excessive risk, crazy risk. And we've kind of covered cryptos, mostly Bitcoin pricing for better than 10 years at this point. I've never been a fan of it, because what is the basis for its pricing? It's just simply demand that pushes it up. There's no underlying value. There's, no dividend. There's no real property or assets backing it up. It's more so hype driving it up, and there's a limited amount of coins that are going to be produced. Okay, well, that sure didn't keep prices in place, but it also kind of created a herd mentality of people wanting in, and they really shouldn't get in to it. Then it created all these different exchanges out there, and then they created their own coins. So we had a number of firms fell this past summer that I talked about on the show. One of them, Celsius, and the founders of that are somewhere else on the planet, I guess, hiding out after that mess they made, and their collapse caused basically a sell-off in the crypto markets, which probably was said to have burned somewhere around $1 trillion in value. Now we've got this firm that has failed, and you know of it as FTX. And if you've been following, I don't know, some of the news channels and I watch cover it, but I don't go watching all the news channels. Sometimes I'll flip around to see what's being covered and so forth, but I don't think there's any shortage of this. But it's the firm that was led by Sam Bankman-Fried. And it collapsed. And one of the problems inside of that, of how their bookkeeping was, which wasn't done very well, was the token FTT, which was also kept on its balance sheet. Another problem, and they had an exchange where people could use their platform to buy and sell cryptos, and they used their own FTT as its own token, as its own site currency as well. Then they had another trading platform, which was kind of risky, and obviously that wasn't going well. And I would say that was probably part of the problem. There was the fallout from this past summer when other firms collapsed, driving down the market. They had played bets on it. If you understand what they're doing, when you and I've read a number of pieces and articles here about what was going on behind the scenes, and folks that went in and actually took a real look at the company, it didn't take them too long to figure out that this wasn't going to go well. They didn't have security procedures in place. They didn't have the right type of people there. They were probably understaffed, and it didn't take them too long to say, you know what, we're good. We're going to head in another direction, because they kind of saw this isn't going to end well. And one thing about the cryptos is, how does this work? It all works well if it keeps going up, but if it keeps going down, it's all bad. So you also had these firms developing mines, and that's room full of computers processing Bitcoin through blockchain. And the mining is, so if through the mining process of transactions through blockchain created a Bitcoin. So back when the Bitcoin was trading, say, at $60,000 a coin, well, if you're mining that and you create coin, well, you just created 60,000 in value at that time if you sold it and exchanged it, say, for dollars. And that's a very expensive process. And guess what? Electricity's about doubled during this year of inflation. So the mining became a much more expensive process. The equipment was very expensive. Well, values of equipment have dropped dramatically. Why? Because mining's not so much in favor. It's very expensive to do. Hey, it's not very environmentally friendly if you want to go there with that because of excessive use of electricity. So if it's dropped down and it priced is somewhere above 16,000, between 16,000 and 17,000 this week, but those prices have dropped dramatically there, so that doesn't make efficient. And if they're making bets, what they're making is bets that it's going on the upside, because that's where you make money. Because is there or was there a way to hedge it and bet on it going down and make money? I'm not aware of it. So, typically, when you look at a company that is publicly traded, it has stock, and you hear about this where bets are placed against the company, like it's going to fall. They'll have options to the downside to make money on it failing. So there's a way to make money from that, but not on that, not on this, what SBF was doing was no money to make money. It's just a collapse, and he borrowed money he shouldn't have, transferred money from the exchange to his trading company. They said over $10 billion, and it collapsed. This is not a regulated industry. Heck, this company was offshore. They had offices in the Bahamas and Hong Kong, and you're putting money with them on their exchange and these other exchanges. There's no backing to that. And I saw reports about people that's like their life savings is gone. Why did you do that? There is no regulation. Now, I also read that the industry's worried about regulation coming. Well, yeah, it is coming. Now, article here I have, the downfall of Sam Bankman-Fried's FTX shows crypto is more like tulip mania than Lehman Brothers. And this is an article by Alan Murray written on November 14th. And this one paragraph here I'm going to read to you. In one sense, this is all too familiar story of companies built on excess leverage. It's a story of Lehman Brothers or the dot-com boom, but Lehman's bonds were supported by overvalued houses, and Pets.com actually shipped a lot of dog food. Crypto is more like tulip mania. There is nothing much holding it up except the belief it will eventually go higher. If that belief goes away, what's left? We may soon find out. In the meantime, for those who aren't invested in crypto, this is a great spectator sport, rivaling Elon Musk's Twitter takeover. You can, and this was from Fortune magazine, and you can look up there. There's plenty of articles online, and if anything, to learn about what can go wrong and why. If you put money there, you should look at it. Well, if it's gone tomorrow, I'm okay. If you can't make that statement, you should not be putting in these unregulated arenas where money can just go away. You have the belief it's going to go up, but what if it goes the other way? How are you going to do? This has to be money that you can burn, and you're never, ever going to need it. Risk is scary. Risk is real. Diversify. You shouldn't be putting much at all at this type of risk. And I've read so many story after story after story of people really hurt by this myth that this is going to be something great, wonderful, and this is the future, this is current. No, it isn't. This is just kind of like tulip mania that's going to cause people to lose a lot of hard-earned money that they shouldn't have there. If you need more information on that, about better ways to save and grow money, call my office or go to GregoryRicks.com. The office number is 504-832-9200. We're going to be back in about 6 minutes for the next hour. Take a break with us, get something to drink, come back, and hang out with us.
From the Gregory Ricks and Associates Wealth Management Studios, WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station.
Ticketmaster is trying to explain the concert chaos that was caused when seats to Taylor Swift shows went on sale.
In a late Friday night statement, Ticketmaster apologized to Swift and her fans who this past week endured delays and errors in the verified fan presale for shows on the upcoming U.S. leg of her concert tour. Ticketmaster says the demand, driven in part by bot attacks, resulted in traffic on its site 4 times higher than the previous peak, disrupting performance and reliability. The company estimates about 15% of those using this site had problems. But despite all that, more than 2 million Swift tickets were sold last Tuesday, the most for any artist on any day.
Fox's Kevin Uretsky. More headaches at Twitter as more employees, hundreds more, leave the social media giant. The continued exodus follows an ultimatum by CEO Elon Musk. A Catholic bishop wants out of the church.
A bishop of the Roman Catholic Church in upstate New York has asked the Pope to remove him from the priesthood. 84-year-old retired Bishop Howard Hubbard of Albany made the unusual request Friday, a day that just happened to be designated by the UN as the World Day for the Prevention and Healing from Child Sexual Exploitation, Abuse, and Violence. Hubbard, who has admitted he covered up for predatory priests and who has himself been accused of sexual abuse, requested to be laicized because he could no longer function as a priest. Requesting voluntary laicization from the Holy Father is unusual for a bishop, and especially for a cleric who denies abuse allegations against him. Karen McHugh, Fox News.
Over 1 million foreign soccer fans have converged on Qatar. FIFA's World Cup competition begins tomorrow. Just yesterday, the country banned the sale of beer inside stadiums. I'm Pam Puso, and this is Fox News.
It all started with the brutal murder of a young married couple. Now, more than 40 years after the couple was found, investigators and forensic genealogists are cracking the case wide open to uncover a stunning second mystery.
Where's the baby? I said, well, wait, he had a baby?
We cross the country speaking with victims' families and those close to the case as we ask, what about Holly?
I just want to know what happened.
Available on FoxNewsPodcasts.com and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Get all of your favorite Fox News podcasts commercial-free on Apple Podcasts with Fox News Podcasts Plus. From Dana Perino, Kennedy, Ben Domenech, The Duffys, and many more. Subscribe now by going to FoxNewsPodcasts.com. The Fox News Rundown, a contrast of perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. Your daily dose of news twice a day, featuring insight from top newsmakers, reporters, and Fox News contributors. Listen and subscribe now by going to FoxNewsPodcasts.com.
Now that the balance of power is shifting in the House, leadership changes are coming.
Speaker Nancy Pelosi will hand the gavel off to someone new for what she says is the last time, as the first woman to be elected Speaker of the House will not be seeking re-election to caucus leadership. She's not the only one. Democratic Majority Leader Steny Hoyer will be doing the same, while Majority Whip Jim Clyburn will seek a different position. The move opens the door for New York Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, who's announced his intentions to run for Minority Leader. Senator Mitch McConnell won re-election against Florida Senator Rick Scott to return as Republican Senate Minority Leader, while Kevin McCarthy won an internal Republican vote with 188 votes, but needs to get to 218 in January to be the next House Speaker. In Washington, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
We have a winner in a Colorado congressional race. Republican Lauren Boebert will head back to Washington after defeating Democrat Adam Frisch.
Come January, you can be certain of two things. I will be sworn in for my second term as your Congresswoman, and Republicans can finally turn Pelosi's house back into the people's house.
A recount will likely be triggered because Boebert is only ahead by about 200 votes. President Biden didn't leave the White House this weekend. His granddaughter is about to be married on the South Lawn.
Naomi and her soon-to-be husband, Peter Neal, join a small group of other members of the First Family and those lucky enough to walk down the aisle at the hardest-to-book venue in the U.S. In 1886, President Grover Cleveland was the first and only president to be married at the White House. Tricia Nixon was walked down the aisle by her dad, President Nixon, in a lavish affair for the history books.
Fox's Lauren Blanchard. All of the wedding will be closed to the press. Pam Puso, Fox News.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I'm your host, Gregory Ricks, a financial advisor here to answer your questions and help you win with your money.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Simple information from good people.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Could this be your Social Security, your 401k, pension, lump sum, your debt, student debt, credit cards?
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years. Sometimes I'll pull over to the side of the road and just listen.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Welcome. You're listening to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. This is our show for November 19th, 2022. It is live. Call me, 504-260-0995. If you'd like to talk a little bit about what's going on, what's worrying you, what are your concerns? Is it taxes? Is it inflation? Social Security? Fuel prices? They're all worries. I am going to tell you this. It is going to get better. It's not going to be doom and gloom. Things go in cycles, and this is another cycle. You know, remember, news shows, newspapers, magazines want to have scary topics, titles, doom, those that want to sell you subscriptions and such want to scare you so that you follow and listen and like, oh my God, world's ending tomorrow. Tune in at 10. You know, or world's ending next month. Want to escape the end? Subscribe. You know, they're selling fear. I don't sell fear. I sell optimism that it's going to get better. We need to minimize risk. We need to be in position for opportunity. If market's down, interest rates going up, it's opportunity. This has happened before. We've had high inflation before. Some of this is interest rates have been too low. I've said that for a number of years. Interest rates have been too low. That is not a normal thing. Yeah, we might have 7% mortgages, but they're not 20% mortgages. I don't know that we get into that realm. I hope not. But if we do, it won't stay there. But the Fed is going to raise rates again. I'm pretty sure of it. Why? Things aren't slowing. Layoffs aren't really showing up and impacting yet. Companies, you know, if they're slowing, they're going to lay off people. And that is not showing up. Consumers have not stopped buying enough. So what I'm telling you is we're going to have some more pain coming, but it's going to get better. You know, you've heard me say of the past 33 and a third years, research shows, BTN research showed that we've had, in the past 33 and a third years, we've had 20 times the market has dropped 20% or more. And recently, the market's up 11% from October lows. So once again, it just hasn't kept going, getting worse and ugly. But when these things happen, you also could be a positive look in this. There is opportunity. You have to understand that. If you're being injured because of your exposure, well, then you have too much exposure. In the last hour, I talked about these cryptocurrencies, and people think that's the next thing, and I think it's the next doom thing. And these collapses show that there's no underlying value. There's only the premise that it's going to keep going up, and reality is set in is that it's not in these exchanges. And really what it's turned in is an industry of Ponzi schemes. If you dig in and read, it's just Ponzi schemes, and these platforms are scheming each other. And one of the errors that FTX made is they were buying up these other failing exchanges, which were Ponzi schemes. And what they're doing to clients, where people put money on their platform, it's not backed up. So you shouldn't be putting money there. For over 10 years, we've covered that, and I've said, don't do it. There's no basis for it. And I'm not the only one that said, don't do it. Why? Because not long ago it was at 60,000 coin. Now it dropped to 16,000. It's trading somewhere between 16,000 and 17,000 on Bitcoin. But these other coins or tokens that other platforms have created, some of them have just evaporated, which means they're evaporating money. And I don't know who thought it was a good idea to give this guy billions of dollars, but he just burned through with it. You know how he was managing it? Like he stole it, because indeed, that's what he did. That's going to hurt you when you make mistakes like that and don't have diversification. You shouldn't put all of your money to risk. And when you do something that is not regulated, really has no basis, and you're just making a reach like that. So if you put money into cryptos, you should be able to judge it like, if this money goes away tomorrow, I'll be fine. It's no big deal, which means it shouldn't be your life savings, or it shouldn't cause you pain when it goes away. Well, I'll circle back. Welcome to the show. I get going on a tangent there, but I just think it's so important to understand risk. And typically when we talk about risk is what amount of volatility upsets you. Because you should be investing for long term, but you shouldn't have everything exposed to volatility, which volatility means it's going to go down for a bit, then come back up. That's the expectation, say, with the stock market. But all companies aren't going to survive. The history shows us that, over the past 170 years, 99% of the companies don't exist. They don't all make it, and they all don't survive. A little bit about me, CEO, founder of Gregory Ricks & Associates, a total wealth authority. We're wealth advisors that help people with their money. We have a process called the Guided Planning System. We're very process-oriented, and we're very relationship-oriented. The type of people that work with my firm are those people that wish to have a work optional lifestyle, that believe in the process and are good people and good stewards of that money. That's kind of what I do in my day job. Saturdays, I do this live radio show every Saturday for 3 hours. We're going to take a break here, but if you want more information about me and the firm, looking for some help, GregoryRicks.com. Otherwise, we're going to be back in a few minutes. Join the conversation, 504-260-0995. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
Hey, I love your show.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
What's cooking, Gumbo Nation? This is Dwayne Stein, your local mortgage lender. Bread prices up. Milk is up. Inflation way up. I know this can all be overwhelming. That's why you need to know I got you. Tens of thousands have trusted me and my team with their largest investment, the home. So while things look cloudy, let's work to make sure when the dust settles, your family is ready to take advantage. Visit mortgagegumbo.com.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there, on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Less than half of Americans have drawn up a will. If you don't have one, you know you need to get one. But what if you do have a will? Is it up to date? Has anyone in your family been married, divorced, or passed away? Have any new family members been born or adopted? Don't leave your loved ones in a bind. Call me and we'll make you a plan or update your existing plan. Hi, I'm Wes Blanchard, an estate planning attorney in Metairie. What's your plan? Find me at wjblanchardlaw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
Do you like having your money follow where momentum is? Remember, everything cycles in the markets there, and you've got to have proper asset classes. And how about a tactical approach that follows momentum? And if there's a black swan effect, like maybe a pandemic, and not have to suffer all of that downside move. That might be why you should take a look at the Invest 50-50 philosophy. Why I think, always felt they're doing it wrong out there. There has to be a better way to help people grow their money and have it positioned to take income from without it being crushed when the markets go down.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Welcome back. You're listening to Winning at Life. This is the live financial news talk show we've been doing for over 12 years here for you on Saturday mornings. Trying to give you information to keep you up to speed, ideas of growing your money. Another important part of that is keeping it, kind of where I talked about the risk and not making good decisions like cryptos, bad decisions, decisions where you don't have exit. So, what are the core things when somebody recommends something or you have an idea about something or wanting to do it, like the crypto thing or somebody recommending non-tradable REITs, or you're going to buy something or a piece of land. This can fall into a number of areas, but one of the things is to ask two parts. What is my risk? What is my exposure if this doesn't go well? And what is my exit? Like real estate, if you buy, there was a decision, I don't know, 7-8 years back, piece of land I was looking at buying, and I remember having a conversation with the realtor, and she said, we can still unwind this deal and get out of it. And I said, actually, I'm going to go forward, even though the reason was that she knew that was not what I ultimately wanted. But if I couldn't get what I wanted, I could settle for this. But I said, no, we're going to go forward with this because I'm priced to where I can get out of this, meaning I could sell it. I was buying it at a price that I thought I could easily sell it. And I think a year later it was sold because I did put together another deal of what I actually wanted that I was going to be happy with for decades. And I made $1,000 on it. So that was, once again, some of the thinking. If you're buying a car and you don't think this is going to be good for you, what is your exit strategy? An investment if this doesn't go well, what is your exit? And if this goes bad, what is your exposure? Two fundamental things you should always think about. Let's jump to the caller. Sean called 504-260-0995 to get on to the Winning at Life hotline. How can we help you today, Sean? You're calling from Tangipahoa.
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Good. Great. Yes, question with regard to Roth IRA. I've listened to y'all on and off for a while, but and I know you just got through talking about walking into converting an IRA into a Roth, and that's basically what I'm doing. So I will be, and I wanted to do it this year because it is under, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, I will be under the 70-year age requirement for those distributions, and I want to make sure that I have the Roth held for at least 5 years to prevent having to pay taxes on gains. Am I thinking correctly?
You are thinking correct on that.
Okay. So I opened a Roth, and I've converted a portion of it this year, and I realized what I'm converting, they've already taken the tax out, so that I'm going to have to pay the tax liability on that portion. And since that's already been paid, if I hold that Roth and don't do anything in terms of taking distributions for the whole 5 years, then everything, including the principal, any gains and everything, will be tax-free. My question with regard to that is, as I move forward in years to come, if I continue to move money from a traditional IRA into the Roth, do those funds have to wait an additional 5 years, or is it, since I've already started the IRA, 5 years is everything will be captured within that 5 year?
Yeah, what we always talk about is the 5-year clock, and it's kind of like everybody should open a Roth account and add a contribution to it to start the clock, and that takes care of future contributions and conversions. There's not a new clock on every conversion. Now, and we're not going to talk about it here today, but when you're moving certain situations where you're shifting Roth money that has not been under the clock and commingling with Roth IRA money, there's some things to work through there on timing in certain situations. But if you get that 5-year clock knocked out, future conversions are good to go. So 2 core things: have the 5-year clock done and be over age 59 and a half, and you're able to take those gains tax-free, which is the awesome thing about a Roth IRA. Does that help you out?
Gotcha. Okay. It did, and I had a second question. If you have the
Please,
time.
go ahead. We do.
Okay, and this is basically with regard to just simple trading, equity trading, and the wash sale issue. The issue of taking a loss and then repurchasing same or similar. What is it? 30 days? Is it a 30-day window?
Yes.
That if you repurchase, then you cannot take that loss as a tax deduction. Is that correct?
Yep. An example for listeners, let's say you have 100 shares of ABC stock that you bought for $10 a share or $1,000 total. You sell the stock for $8 a share, then 23 days later you rebuy 100 shares for $7 a share. Because you repurchase the stock within 30 days, you have what's called a wash sell.
Okay. Now, for instance, here's a scenario. Have holding an equity. I sold a call on that equity, and the call was below, the call strike price was a little bit below what I paid for it. And of course, I made a premium on that sale. And then it exercised, and I took a loss. I was willing to, because it was going to be a harvested loss anyway towards the end of the year here. But I took that loss because I sold an option and I gained the premium. Does that count as having purchased that stock, or does that cause a wash sale as well?
Well, let's define it here and simply put. I had Jude Heath on in my first hour this morning of J. Heath and Company CPAs.
I missed it.
Now, it's okay. We'll have him back on in a few weeks. But look, from the perspective of the IRS, wash sales are attempts to circumvent or manipulate the tax laws. The wash sale rule seeks to prevent these efforts by making it impossible for traders to claim tax deductions on wash sell transactions. You can't purposely do that. But in trading, it's going to happen. If you're actively trading, whether it's daily, weekly, and moving in and out of options. So one of the important things, because these trades and all are going to be reported, and when you take deductions and so forth, they're going to want that explained. You should make sure you keep up with all records of your trades. And if you're doing a lot of trading, that's a lot of records, but that should, on the platform you're using, you keep up with it, and then that gets worked out at tax time. It's just important to keep a record of all this that you're doing, and you want to avoid buying and selling within 30 days, but if you're actively trading, it's going to happen, and especially with options in that case. So that's kind of where I would go on that. And there's plenty of information online.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for listening to Winning at Life, Sean. He joined us at 504-260-0995. And once again, it's not a topic that comes up very often on the show, but a wash sell is a sale of a security at a loss and repurchased of the same or substantially identical security shortly before or after. Losses on such sales are not deductible in most cases under the Internal Revenue Code. So if you sold it for a loss and buy it back, you're not going to get to write it off, is really the simple way of explaining that. But if somebody's actively trading, I don't know that you're making, and these things are going to happen, but you're not making trades for that purpose. You're looking for the opportunity on the movement of the security or the option or the spread that you're finding there. So biggest point I made with Sean, keep your records. You're going to need that, especially, and why are you going to need, well, what if the IRS disagrees with you, or they say, oh, this is, you owe taxes on this, then you've got to provide the records to justify this. It's like on Roth conversions, really important that you make sure those conversions are put, especially if you're doing backdoor, you need to make sure you don't forget to put that information into your tax returns, or else they're going to send you a bill 2 years later saying you owe taxes. Maybe you didn't because it was non-taxable IRA contribution that you did a conversion with. You're listening to Winning at Life.
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
I have a broker. He has no idea what you and I just talked about.
From your 401k to your IRA to your pension to your Social Security to your Medicare.
Hi, Greg. Appreciate your service to the community.
From your ETFs to your precious metals.
The program helps to ground me. There's some personal, real life there.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and wherever else you can find podcasts, probably.
That's exactly what I needed to know.
Hey, I love your show.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
What does your ideal retirement look like? Is it traveling the world, fishing whenever you want, spending time with the grandkids, or maybe you don't know yet? Hi, I'm Gregory Ricks. Let us help you plan the retirement you deserve. Give us a call or go to GregoryRicks.com to schedule a visit. We are Gregory Ricks & Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
The firm provides insurance services, investment, and advisory services. Offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management, LLC, and Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, and if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there, on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
We are living in historic times, extraordinary times. A lot of people need help right now, and I want you to remember your local food bank. Now, here in New Orleans, it's Second Harvest Food Bank. Over in Mobile, they've got Feeding the Gulf. But you can find your local food bank, feedingamerica.org. Food donations, monetary donations, or I know you've got some free time. Find your local food bank. Support your local food bank, especially in times like this. Do some good. feedingamerica.org.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. Tragedy this morning in Raleigh, North Carolina. An accident in that city's Christmas parade where an out-of-control vehicle towing a float struck and injured a young girl. The child was rushed to the hospital. Her condition is unknown at this time. In neighboring Georgia, both Republicans and Democrats remain in full-on campaign mode ahead of the December 6th runoff between Democrat Senator Raphael Warnock and GOP challenger Herschel Walker, who has the backing of Republican Governor Brian Kemp.
He will go and fight for those values that we believe in here in our state. And that's why it's time to retire Raphael Warnock and send Herschel Walker to the United States Senate.
Democrats have maintained their majority in the U.S. Senate. America is listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you have a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
And you can let your head down. Hey, you gotta keep your head up.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back. Hey, Sean, thanks for calling in with those questions. If you want to join the conversation with some concerns, worries, need some help, I'm glad he called talking about Roth conversions. The 5-year clock's really important, and age 59 and a half. You know, it's long term. But, man, if you let time work for you, if you're young and kind of like, where should I start investing? Well, first off, consider a Roth strategy. Now, once again, a Roth is not an investment. It's a tax qualification. Roth means it can grow tax-deferred and come out tax-free if you meet certain rules, like the 5-year clock taken care of, meaning the account has to be established for 5 years. So opening an account, adding a contribution starts that clock, and then time goes by 5 years. So when you've added money to that over the years, none of that future money has to wait 5 years to come out. So really important part of that. And the other part of the rule is 59 and a half. You can't take it out until 59 and a half. There's principal can be taken out before then. The money that you contributed that was after tax dollars, first time home buyers, using it for college funds can be utilized as well. So a Roth account really has some neat things, but the biggest is letting it compound and having a lot of tax-free money. One of the things people may not be aware of is how these rules have changed in IRAs. So we used to always talk about the stretch. And honestly, if I go back presentations and talks I've give 15, 20 years ago, never really contemplated that the IRS would take away the stretch. Well, in essence, for a spouse of a decedent, you have the stretch. But if you're a non-spouse beneficiary, you do not have the stretch, which the stretch means you could take the required minimum distributions over your lifetime. And you can't do that. Non-spouse adult beneficiary that's not exempt from this has to take the money out of the account within 10 years. Kind of two parts to that. Required beginning date. So if the account owner died after their RMDs had started, when you inherit that account, you have to take required minimum distributions out of an IRA. Out of a Roth, you don't, because there's no RMDs, period. So a regular IRA, you have to, the non-spouse Benny basically has to spend that money down in 10 years. If they died before required beginning date, you don't have RMDs, but you do have to take all of the funds out before the end of year 10. So there's no stretch, except for spouses, which can take it over their lifetime. So that's one reason we like the Roth, because a Roth can have 10 more years with no RMDs and to grow, because you're leaving behind, and most everybody has these big, fat, taxable, nasty, tax-infested 401ks and IRAs. And when you leave that behind, somebody's going to have to, that's not a spouse, is going to have to take it over 10 years. So that's on top of their income, or jumps up their tax brackets. So you're probably possibly leaving money behind in a highly taxed situation. So one of the ways to change that is Roth conversions. And I talk all the time, well, how do I do that? That's a lot of taxes. How do I get that started? It's one conversion at a time, and it's bite size. It's what can you tolerate? What can you digest of that? So, that's why I always use the phrase, well, how do you eat an elephant? one bite at a time. Well, it's really big. Well, just one bite at a time. It's even one small Roth conversion at a time over years is going to impact. And let's say you have hundreds of thousands in your IRA. You don't have to do it forever. What if you're 57? Convert 33,000. Now, I don't want you to pay the taxes from the 33,000. And the problem with that, before age 59 and a half, then you'll be penalized 10%. So all that conversion needs to go over. You need to have the funds to pay the taxes outside of that. You know, that's the pain part. So you got to do what you can tolerate. But I like doing the math on 33,000 year 1, 33,000 year 2, and 34,000 year 3. We're converting. So we've converted 100,000, paid taxes on it. And let's say now you're age 60 and making compounding simple using the rule of 72. So if we're getting a 7.2% hypothetical return, you're doubling your money every 10 years. So 100,000 goes to 200,000 by age 70. By age 80, it doubles again to 400,000. By 90, it goes to 800,000. Let's say you die at age 90. You've left 800,000. How much of it was taxed? The original 100,000 you paid tax on. How much of the other 700,000 is taxable? 0. When do they have to take the money out of the account? They're a non-spouse beneficiary. They have to take it out in 10 years. So 800,000 hypothetically could go to $1.6 million. It adds another 800,000 of untaxable money. Talking about leaving a legacy. You don't have to convert it all. Just convert some. Get a process. And it might be you want to do $5,000 a year for the next 10 years. Or 10,000 for 5, whatever that comfortable number is. It's why we run at my day job as CEO, founder of Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority, with wealth advisors helping people with their money. I'm a wealth advisor as well. But one of the things we do, of the many analyses that we do, is a tax efficiency report from a federal tax return standpoint and a state tax. We do that every year for clients. It's part of what we do. And we do it for somebody coming in and wanting to visit with us to talk about developing a relationship, and we call that a fit visit. Because we may not be the firm for everybody, but everybody might not be a fit for our style. That's why it's a fit visit. You're not expected to make a decision. And if you come in for a second visit, one of the typical 7 things I'll call analysis, but it's like you're going to the doctor. Well, I'm getting 7 tests done. I'm going back to visit. We're going to go over all the results. That's what we do on a second visit. One of those is the tax efficiency report. And I want to see what your margin is left over in your tax bracket. We hate wasting margins, but what's Roth opportunities? How's income going to affect your Medicare premiums in the future? A number of things that we're looking at. What are future tax brackets? We can run scenarios with that will, what if I do this? What if I sell my business? What if my income goes up to this? What if I sell my stock? These different scenarios, you can look at future impact and make better decisions on that. But that's also, why? Where can we do some Roth conversions? Doesn't mean you have to Roth everything and do it forever. Think about your situation. You might have 500,000. You might have 800,000. You might have 1.5 million in that tax infested account, but see the impact of just $100,000. Doesn't matter how long you're going to live, but you're going to live longer. You might live to 80. You might live to 90. You might live to 70. I don't know. But you know what? Your money has time. You're not spending it all. And you say, well, Gregory, I don't have $100,000. Well, let's get to saving some. How do you save? Some every month, some every year. It's like eating that elephant, a bite at a time. Save some. It will start piling up. Warren Buffett's wealth, over 95% of his wealth that he has today accumulated after he qualified for Social Security benefits. So don't tell me you don't have time. Time is what we all have. We just don't know how much of it. But invest and save and do things in a way that you have a lot of time coming, because you probably do. Don't do it in a way, well, I don't have much time left. You probably have a lot of time left, and fight for your life and make a difference. You're listening to Winning at Life. We'll be right back.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory.
Think of a hinge on a giant door. See, when you come into one of my conference rooms, there's like this 10-foot door. That door that was there was set to the side. So I went to pick it up, took a step, had to set it back down. I didn't have any leverage. The same door's got 3 hinges, which are like nothing in comparison to the door. That's the way a fixed indexed annuity keeps working. The interest rate is like these hinges, which gives you the ability to leverage the indexes for more upside. So I could get possibly 0 on that leverage, or I could get 2, 3, 4% or even more over time.
Gregory Ricks and Associates. Find us at GregoryRicks.com or call 504-832-9200. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Mosquitoes. We know them as flying, blood-sucking pests. But did you know that mosquitoes are actually highly intelligent? They can smell human breath, our sweat helps them choose their next meal, and they use our body heat to find just the right place to bite. Outsmart mosquitoes with help from Mosquito Joe. Mosquito Joe has this time-release capsule that they spray that slowly releases its mosquito death over a course of a month. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
My mother just inherited a couple of annuities.
If you could explain the difference between a government pension offset and the windfall elimination provision is.
You now make too much income to contribute to a Roth IRA.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
You all are so good.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
I'm young. I'm 22 years old, and I'm just now starting to get into the 401k and the percentage and stuff. How much money do I need to save to, retire at around, 60, 65 years old?
So first off, one of the first rules, if you're getting a match, you need to get 100% of the match. The match is free money. Those that are putting off turning on their 401k because I need that money every month. No, you need to get the match. That's the priority. What's great for you is you're taking advantage of one of the greatest things on the planet, and that's compound interest and time. At age 22, you're not going to have to put away a lot to achieve this goal versus if you wait to 35 or 40, it's going to seem like a mountainous task.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Ain't it fun?
Hey, y'all. 10 minutes here to go in the show, and I'm done till next Saturday as far as the show goes. But once again, if you're looking for some help, my office number, 504-832-9200. We're a firm that's there to help you, to answer questions. Can we make a difference? If you've got situations with your 401k, you've left the firm and it's still at the old job and you're not working there anymore. Might be something to talk about. You have options. You could leave it there. You could roll it over to an IRA. You could move it to the new job. I'm not a big fan of leaving it at the old job. A lot of what's going on in the year because of interest rates coming up, people are having to make pension decisions, and some of that entails the lump sum values are going to go down as they recalculate into higher interest rates. So I think you should call and get some guidance on that decision making. We've got another download for you also this week. The Roadmap Beyond Retirement. You know what families should know about your belongings, business affairs, and wishes. It's GregoryRicks.com/roadmap for that download here. So on the next few minutes, I'm going to try to hit two topics. Once again, you can always call into the show, 504-260-0995. The office, anytime you need some help, call. The website is GregoryRicks.com. A lot of information there. Check us out. Find out more about the guided planning system, which is our process. And one part of that process is income planning, and Social Security is a really big part of that. Most people make bad decisions on turning on Social Security. It's your government pension, and if you paid in Social Security taxes, you're due a government pension. Social Security looks at your benefit as your FRA, full retirement age benefit. If you turn it on earlier, they penalize you. If you defer it, they add more to it. On simple interest beyond FRA, it's about 8% a year. But here, understand this. They credit you for each month you defer. You don't have to defer for a whole year. They penalize you. It's actually based on months early. So you might not have to wait to FRA to start it. And cases where, I get the most out of 70, but it doesn't mean both you and your spouse technically should both wait to 70. Sometimes that determines based upon who's created the largest Social Security benefit. Then the other one's it's never going to be larger than the other, because then you're deferring money that you could have now. Yes, deferring it creates value, but also understand money has a present value by having it. So, couple thoughts to think about there. So, with the inflation still pretty high, Social Security administration has announced a giant 8.7% increase to benefits starting in 2023. Earlier in the show, we talked about the tax brackets being adjusted up of 7% because of inflation, and that's one reason we talked about some tax efficiencies earlier this morning in the show. So every year, Social Security Administration looks at Consumer Price Index data from the third quarter of the year to see if benefit payments are keeping up with inflation. And once again, that is from SSA.gov. If benefits are falling behind, cost of living adjustment or COLA is used to boost those payments. The latest COLA of 8.7% is the biggest boost since 1982, a stat from CNN. On average, retirees will gain an extra $146 a month from Social Security, bumping up the average benefit to $1,827. That was just reminding me, I was on a news show a few weeks back talking about that, and then I went and got a haircut. One lady said, I saw you on TV this morning. And I said, yeah, I was on to talk about the Social Security increase and all. And people started saying, well, I didn't even know there was an increase. And 8.7% 8% following last year's. That's a nice bump. So one of the questions is, how does cost of living adjustments help retirees combat inflation? Well, inflation has been at record highs this year. That takes a toll on everyone, but it's especially hard on retirees living on a fixed budget. Here's the part that it's really impacting is not your whole income flow, but from a cost of living standpoint, is probably those consumables, fuel, energy costs to heat your home, price of eggs, that ham. Social Security recipients have lost 40% of their buying power since 2000 as COLAs have struggled to keep pace with inflation. Some years, retirees don't see much benefit from COLAs because Medicare Part B premiums tend to increase at the same time. But this year, enrollees will get some reprieve from that. Medicare Part B will see a rare decrease in benefits, with the standard monthly premium lowering by $5.20. Another stat from CNN. Generally, when we're doing inflation planning on Social Security, I always kind of show it as flat. Why? Because just like I mentioned a moment ago, I always tend to see Medicare premiums washing out the COLAs. So at the end of the day, the COLA will likely bring some relief to retirees struggling with high prices, but incremental increases alone can't maximize your benefits. So no matter how far away from retirement are, it's important to learn more about the Social Security program. It's a huge part. For the average person, it's designed to replace about 40% of their income. You can create an online account at Social Security's website, ssa.gov. I'd rather you set it up and not somebody else, so that you can track your benefits and you maximize those resources that are online available for you. It's important because your benefits are based on your earnings, and you need to keep track that you're getting credited properly, and you can use that account at retirement age to turn on those benefits. You got to be a little bit familiar with some of your personal financials that would show up on credit report, because that's the information they're using to verify that it is you. And it's just really important that you have access to that information. When somebody comes in the office for the first visit, it's a couple things we'd like. We'd like to see their statements. We want a Social Security report, their most recent Social Security statement, and we'd like to see their tax returns for efficiency. That's not required to do so, but it makes things go better, especially if you're wanting a second visit for us to run those analysis and research for you. We kind of need the answers to that. I'm sorry I didn't get to the HSAs today, but I will cover it in hour 2 next week to make sure we get it on. So you'll look for that at the 11 o'clock hour in next week's show. In the meantime, check us out at GregoryRicks.com. If you need some help, call my office, 504-832-9200. Y'all have a happy Thanksgiving.
Firm offers insurance services. Gregory Ricks & Associates is an independent financial services firm that utilizes a variety of investment and insurance products. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for a financial decision, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Gregory Ricks & Associates is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein, provided by third parties, have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Gregory Ricks and Associates. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences, including, but not limited to, a need for additional tax withholding or estimated tax payments, the loss of certain tax deductions and credits, and higher taxes on Social Security benefits and higher Medicare premiums. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. Neither AE Wealth Management nor advisors providing investment advisory services through AE Wealth Management recommend or facilitate the buying or selling of cryptocurrencies. Third parties and guests of the show are not affiliated with, nor do their opinions reflect those of Gregory Ricks and Associates or AE Wealth Management. AE Wealth Management provides services without regard to political affiliation, and the views of individual advisors are not necessarily the views of AE Wealth Management. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station. Available everywhere on our free iHeart radio app. Number one for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Now, from the Gregory Ricks and Associates Wealth Management Studios, this is News Talk 99.5 WRNO.
What's cooking, Gumbo Nation? You're listening to Mortgage Gumbo with Dwayne Stein right here on iHeartRadio, and I'm your host, Dwayne Stein, the Gulf South Mortgage Authority. And this week, you're listening to Mortgage Gumbo with Dwayne Stein. If you want to join the show, 504-260-0995, or you can shoot an email to info@mortgagegumbo.com. 8+ years. This has been our home show. If you're new to the show, welcome. Welcome to the Gumbo Nation, where we continue to grow because of folks just like you. And where else would you want to be hanging out and getting a plethora of information than right here with me and my esteemed co-host, James Parker. I'll welcome to the show. James, welcome back, my man.
Thank you. Good to be back. Good to be here on Mortgage Gumbo.
Always. Always, man. Just another week, right? Survive and move on. That's what we're doing right now. So a lot of different things going on. And on the show today, we got some more data, right? So we're going to share that. Some data numbers came in Also, when you're looking at, we're going to kind of explain what that means. But we've got some questions that have come in over the week. So we're going to get those answered for you as well. So a lot. And again, if you want to join the show, look, there's a lot going on. You probably have questions. 504-260-0995. And look, my day job, I'm a lender. I lend money. Do it pretty well, to be honest with you. If I must try to pat myself on the back, my team and I continue to be one of the top lenders, not just in the state, but in the country. So we're getting things done. We're averaging, in October, we average closing loans, James, 14.7 days. So, it's not like it's a trick, but we've got a process over here that works. And so excited. We had our Realtor Rally, so met a bunch of new realtors. They've sent over some clients, and it just continues. And if we get to some story time, it just continues. And I don't even know if this is a word, but frustratingly, how just the misinformation that's out there. You talk about in a world where everything is known almost immediately, right? And with the internet, with everything. Yet when it comes to somebody's most valuable asset, the amount of misinformation out there that is just incorrect, right? And an example this week is, and I'll just get into it because, I have to almost share these things, James, because just maybe somebody's listening that they'll go, oh. And again, this week, watched a couple who FHA loan, the lender told the borrower that even though they're married, they didn't need the husband's credit on the loan, doing an FHA loan. And you do. So they went ahead, got everything done. And when I mean everything done, they've been through appraisal. They've been through inspection. So they're down over $1,000 there. And the old 1 week out, the underwriter said we can't do it. Well, you couldn't do it from day one. And the reason being is when you're married in the state of Louisiana, you have to include, if you go FHA, you can qualify on your own, but you got to include the debts of the spouse, right? That's the key there. So when you added the debt of the spouse, you don't have to use their credit score, but you got to include their debt. And you can't at this point in life when you're dealing with something so important, and these were first-time home buyers, so they're devastated right now, right? So they come to me, and I'm going to be able to get them qualified, but James, not for the $200,000